Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to learn how to plot graphs using Matlab. Now, before we go to the Matlab window and start plotting graph, we have to understand how to plot graph in mathematics. So first, we would like to plot a graph, but I would like to write out some steps that we can follow to, plot the graph. The first thing to do when plotting a graph is to, have a look at the function that you are given, or yes, the relation that you are given to plot. Let's say I have y to be equal to a certain function of x, f of x, and let's say this function of x is just maybe s squared, something simple to start with. The first step one will follow the graph to plot the graph is to first determine the range of values of the independent variable x. So first you have to determine the range of values for the independent variable. Then after this range of values have been determined, you have to use this range of values, or these values that you find, to find their corresponding value of the dependent variable, that's the y. So let me just put an x over here. Then you have to determine the corresponding values of the dependent variable y based on the x, of course. Then finally, you actually plot the graph. Now we are going to use this step to just plot this small graph over here. Y is equal to x squared. So first we have to determine a range of values of the independent variable, that's the x. So let's say I want my x to range from -5 to +5, right? So I'll write out -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So these are my values for the the x coordinates. All right, so I just went a little for it to write the values in a table, so that it will be easier for us to comprehend in a way. So if this is -5, then the y value over here would be -5 squared, which is obviously 25. This would be 16. I'm just scoring the values of x over here. This would be 9, 4, 1, 0, 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25. Now, so like right now we have completed step 1 and we have also completed step 2. So what we need to do now is to actually plot the graph. And to plot the graph, you know what to do. You draw out your axis for the x axis, for the x and then the y, and you just plot out the coordinates that you have. All right, so I've gone out to plot out the points, and yeah, you have something like this being our graph. And we already know the shape of this graph. It's not the most ideal of graphs, but it's to just show you how graph plotting is actually done. It's not really necessary. You can skip this part of the video if you like. I think I should say that in the beginning. But anyways, so we'll now go to our Matlab and then try and also follow out this rule. See that as we have reached this point, we have actually completed the third one also, and then our graph has been plotted successfully. So we'll go and do the same thing in Matlab and try and see how we can plot a few graphs. Maybe we'll plot y1 to be equal to, this one of course, s squared. Then we can plot maybe another graph, y2 to be equal to, with the same range of values of the x. So I'm going to use the same variable, maybe s squared plus 2. Then we'll do something like this. Y3 to be equal to maybe a straight line, 3 times x plus 5. So we'll plot these three graphs in Matlab. All right, so now that we are here in the Matlab window, we will follow the same steps again. The first thing that we will do is to write out the values of x that we want to be plotted, or yes, the range of values of x. So the first thing that would come into mind is to do maybe x is equal to our variable. Hey, what's that? Our variable that stores the values of x as an array. But doing this right now would be some way, because writing out all the values would just be tedious. So we could use our range, how to write a range of values in Matlab, what I did last week on on arrays. So you can write out -5 with your colon to 5, and this will generate values of the x. If you like, we can run this and check it out in the command window and see what we've got. So you see -5, -4, -3 up to 5, like that. So yeah, you have this right there. So now after getting out the values of x, then you now actually generate the values of y. Now to do that, you just write out the function just like how it is. So like y is equal to x squared that we want to plot first. We write out as y is equal to x to the power 2, something like that. But this wouldn't work in Matlab. But before that, let's try and run it and see what the error says. Now the error tells you that the inputs must be a scalar and a square matrix. I realize that what we have over here, the x that we have over here, is a range of values from -5 to 5. So if you want the operations to be done on each of the elements of that range of values, then what you do is to use the dot power instead, like what they written over here. So instead of writing just power or to the power or something like that, you have to bring the dot over here to help Matlab know that you want to perform this operation on each of the elements of the array. That's the x values. So you see that if you run this at the end, now you get an actual value 25, 16, up to the 25 again. So we can suppress this one for now, then we actually plot. Now to plot the values of a function in Matlab, you use another function, the plot function, plot. Now this function takes inputs as the x coordinates and the y coordinates. So you have to give it an array, just like how we have generated over here. So we give it the first array, the first coordinate, which is the x, of course. Then we give it the second one, so comma y. And then this plot function over here returns a plot of the values of x against y. The first input that you give will be on the horizontal, and the second input will be on the vertical axis. So if you go ahead and run this code, Matlab brings out this figure that you have right here with the values plotted for us. You can see the 0 over here and the values of 5, 10, 15, 25, just as we plotted on our graph. Now also, we said we would plot multiple graphs, so there are a lot of features that you can add. The plot function has a lot of other inputs that you can take, like the color that you would want, how you want the size of the line to be, and all of that. But we are not going to go into that. If you like that, go to MathWorks website and check out the function and see the other input parameters that it can take. Now after you have plotted this graph, you have to hold it on the graph before you plot another one. Realize that we want to plot 3 graphs. But first, before we do that, let's put on grid. So like it's just to bring on the grid in the graph. On the graph, however you want to see it. Now, if you put on a grid on, you see that Matlab's bring on this grid here. Then you can just visualize the graph a little bit better. And then we also use another function, hold on. Well, this is not a function, this is just a command. So the hold on command, what it does is to tell Matlab to hold the current graph on the graph sheet, something like that. Now I'm going to change this y that we have here to y1, and also change this one to y1, so that we'll use another variable y2 to represent the rest of the graphs. So now we have y2 with the same range of values of x. We want to plot the graph s squared plus 2. Now again, we can't just write x to the power 2 plus 2. It wouldn't work in Matlab because that's not how it's supposed to be. We know we have to use a dot operator or the dot before the the power thing, so that it would actually perform the operation on each of the elements of the X array. And also, this is not only for finding the powers of numbers. It works when you are dealing with multiplication, division to the power. Yeah, I think these are the three popular ones that it works with. It doesn't work with the addition. The addition works perfectly. If you use an addition, it adds the 2 to every element of an array. So essentially, it does this operation on the array first, and then it adds 2 to each of the elements of the array, then stores the result in Y2, just as we learned in under variables. So we'll try and plot this one too. So now we use under plot function again, obviously. And this time around, we are plotting X against the second Y, which is Y2. And then we are going to, run the code again and see. Now you see that 2 graphs have been plotted, and obviously the blue one is the first one that we have plotted, and the red one is the new one. It has been shifted by 2 units up, as shown by the 2 that we have added right here. So we're going to close this right now, and then we are going to plot the third one too. But again, we have to hold on, to hold the graph on the graph sheet before we plot the last graph. Sorry, we'll not plot. You have to first find the values first. So Y3 is equal to, this one is a straight line. So we'll do 3, times X, right? Plus 5. But again, not just times X, it has to be dot times X, so that to do it on each of the elements of the X array, right? So this will generate values, and then finally we can plot the values of X against the third Y, which is the third dependence variable that we have around here. So you plot this, and then you run this, and it gives you the third graph that you have here. You can plot multiple graphs on the same sheet by using the hold on command in Matlab. This isn't the this isn't the only things that you can do with the Matlab plot function. Like I said, you can customize how you want the lines to be and all of that. Like giving another input, I think in quotation marks, G would change the color to green. Yeah, to change the color of that particular line to green. And you can also specify how you want the line to be. Maybe dashes can be written like this, and a line will be dashed, and stuff like this. You can go up and look at it on MathWorks website, the plot function. This is a simple way to plot graph in Matlab. Yeah. So the first thing to do is to first generate the values of the independence variable. Then you determine the corresponding values of the dependence variable. Then use the plot function to actually plot the graph in Matlab. It takes the array, the X coordinates of the array. Sorry, the array that has the X coordinates, and then the array that has the Y coordinates, and then it plots it out for you. And don't forget to use these dots whenever you are working with multiplication to the power or division. They are very necessary, else you end up getting another thing, either an error, or you end up getting different values for your corresponding Y component of the graph that you are trying to plot. Yeah, that's it for this video. I thank you all for watching. If you enjoy, please leave a like behind, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you guys next week in the next tutorial, of course. Peace.